Here is a short story set in the world of The Lord of the Rings, featuring a hobbit with Asperger's autism navigating a world that doesn't always understand him. The story is intended to highlight the unique perspective, strengths, and challenges of someone on the autism spectrum in a Middle-earth setting. Title: The Hobbit in the Garden of the Old Forest. Scene 1, a different kind of hobbit. In the peaceful land of the Shire, there was a young hobbit named Brambletook. Bramble wasn't like most hobbits, though. While others in Hobbiton enjoyed loud gatherings, dancing, and merriment, Bramble preferred the quiet companionship of plants, creatures, and the comforting sounds of nature. Unlike his kin, he was often seen walking alone along the edges of Hobbiton, mumbling to himself or pausing to examine the pattern of bark on a tree or the symmetry of a spiderweb. He loved counting things: petals on flowers, cracks on stones, the number of leaves on a branch. It felt like every detail was part of a language only he could read. Most of the hobbits were polite but baffled by him. They would give him kind smiles and small waves, but whisper to each other when he passed by, calling him peculiar, strange, or an odd took. For Bramble, crowds and noise made him feel dizzy and disoriented, so he kept to his quiet pursuits. In his heart, he longed for a true adventure, something only he could accomplish. But how can an odd hobbit like him fit into a world of heroes? Scene 2, a special mission. One autumn day, as Bramble wandered near the edge of the old forest, he heard someone approaching. Looking up, he was startled to see none other than Gandalf the Grey. The wizard's tall form and wise eyes brought a mix of fear and fascination to Bramble, as Gandalf's presence always seemed to ripple the air like magic itself. "Brambletook," Gandalf called with a slight smile, his tone gentle. Bramble shifted nervously. "Yes, Gandalf?" "I've come to ask for your help with a small mission," Gandalf said, his eyes twinkling kindly. "There is a garden deep in the old forest. Some say it was planted by Tom Bombadil himself. Rare plants grow there, plants that could be of great use to Rivendell and to the protection of Middle-earth." Gandalf's words filled Bramble with a thrill of excitement and a flicker of fear. He had always been fascinated by the old forest, and he knew much about plants, yet he was afraid of the strange magic there and of going into the unknown alone. Sensing his hesitation, Gandalf continued, "I believe you, Bramble, have a rare gift. You notice details others might miss, and you understand nature in a way few do. If you choose to go, I know you will find what we need." Bramble took a deep breath. A part of him wanted to refuse, but he knew he would regret it if he turned Gandalf down. "I'll do it," he said, voice trembling but resolute. Scene 3, the journey into the old forest. The next morning Bramble set off with a small pack, his favorite notebook, and a walking stick. As he entered the shadows of the old forest, he could feel the ancient trees watching him, the roots twisting like long, dark fingers beneath the ground. He had been told to follow the path of the morning sun, so he kept checking the direction of the light. He counted each step and kept notes in his notebook, which calmed his racing thoughts and helped him keep focused. At one point, Bramble heard the rustling of the branches and froze. Anxiety bubbled in his chest, but he took slow, steady breaths, remembering his favorite trees back in the Shire and how he could feel their calm energy when he was near them. "I am here to find the plants," he whispered to himself. "I'm a friend of the forest." The forest seemed to accept him, and the rustling quieted. He continued on, finding his way by following faint markings on tree trunks and strange silver leaves that seemed to grow faintly in the dim light. Scene 4, the Garden of Bombadil. Hours later, he came to a clearing, and his breath caught in awe. He had found the fabled Garden of Bombadil. It was unlike anything he had ever seen. Plants of every shape and color grew wild and free, their leaves shimmering with an ethereal glow. Some had petals that changed color as he watched, and others emitted a gentle, musical hum that resonated deep within him. Bramble's heart filled with wonder, and he spent hours exploring every corner of the garden. He counted flowers, took detailed notes on their appearance and scent, and sketched the unique shapes of their leaves. Time slipped away, and he felt as though he was part of the plants' rhythm, as if he were seeing into their very souls. Just as he was about to leave, Bramble noticed a small, unassuming herb with delicate blue flowers hiding beneath a large fern. Something about it called to him, and he gently picked a sprig, placing it in his notebook for Gandalf. Scene 5, Return to the Shire. Bramble returned to the Shire by nightfall, exhausted but fulfilled. When he reached Hobbiton, Gandalf was waiting by his door, a warm smile on his face. "Did you find what you sought, Bramble?" Gandalf asked, his voice soft. Bramble nodded, handing over his notes and the blue flowered herb. "I found something special," he whispered, "a plant I have never seen before. I think it might have power in it." Gandalf examined the herb with an approving nod. "This is indeed rare, Bramble, and it will be of great use to the elves." He looked at the hobbit with genuine admiration. "You have a gift, Bramble. Took could never doubt it." For the first time, Bramble felt truly seen, not as an odd hobbit, but as someone with a unique role in the world. He realized that his love of detail, his calmness with nature, and his patience with small things were strengths, not weaknesses. Though he wasn't like other hobbits, he belonged in Middle-earth with his own way to help. Scene 6, A New Path Forward. As Gandalf left, Bramble sat by the fireplace, his notepad on his lap. He could still feel the presence of the old forest and the magic of Bombadil's garden. He had ventured into the unknown and returned not as an outsider, but as a part of something bigger than himself. In the days that followed, Bramble continued to study plants, sharing his knowledge with those who would listen. Though the hobbits still called him peculiar, they also began to ask his advice about gardens and herbs, learning to appreciate his rare talent. And Bramble, in his quiet way, felt more at peace than ever, knowing he had found his place in the world. And so the legend of Bramble Took, the hobbit with a special bond to nature, grew in the Shire, as he became a symbol of quiet courage and the value of seeing the world in one's own unique way.